And I'm glad you brought this up because you have been bringing up the one thing I've been and a lot of Jurassic Park fans have been taking this the wrong way. And the problem is that the Snyder fans have kind of hijacked this whole thing and they're trying to make it look like Jurassic World is going to beat Superman. It's like, look, Jurassic World is doing amazing, especially considering this is the fourth film in a 7-film franchise in the past 10 years. That being said, there was a steady $300 million drop. That being said, you pointed out the obvious. Superman is set up to do what Jurassic World did in 5 days in only 3 days.
With review embargoes for Superman set to fall late Monday night, social reviews. So that's when guys like Alan and Chris will be able to open their traps and kind of give us some initial thoughts. And Tuesday afternoon, critics reviews. So he'll be able to go from Monday night, Alan can tell you, I loved it, I hated it. Tuesday afternoon, and I guarantee you Alan will have, as soon as that embargo lifts, it's probably when you'll see a Film Threat show. I don't know if they'll hold it till Wednesday. Then the critic reviews come out, and then he can go into more depth, and he'll probably be able to do some spoilers there for you as well. The next key update for projections will come after that. So we should have, again, by late Tuesday evening, we should have some of these hardcore, like the Deadline, the Variety, the THR guys will come out with their weekend tracking data. Superman Thursday pre-sales are currently pacing for roughly $20 million when weighed against comps like Thunderbolts and Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny. But next week's acceleration rate and potential family appeal, and he says next week, remember, Sean wrote this on Friday. He released this article Friday, or maybe Thursday. Sorry, the day before. He usually releases it on a Friday, but that was Independence Day. But next week's acceleration rate and potential family appeal will play a role in where that number in weekend haul actually land. It's also posting a stronger Friday through Sunday share of weekend pre-sales so far, which could elevate its internal multiplier in relation to other summer comic book films. You know what I mean. It's also posting a stronger Friday through Sunday share of weekend pre-sales so far, which could elevate its internal multiplier in relation to other summer comic book films, depending on word of mouth. So again, it's like anything, it all comes down to word of mouth. But what is interesting here, look at the high-low range, right? Because the way Robbins does these tracking data assessments is he comes up with the ranges because there's no single peg that you can really figure out. You don't know how this is going to work. So he's going to assume, hey, we got what we got right now. Hey, we got what we got right now, but we get a bigger surprise of walk-up traffic than we presumed, or as one example. So if you look at the chart here, Superman, he's got a low-end 3-day. A true Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So not a $150 million 5-day Jurassic World thing. This is a true 3-day release. $130 million. This is domestic. And then he's got $171 million on the high. Now, the high is probably pretty high. But if you look at his 3-day pinpoint forecast, about 148, kind of right in the middle there. It's a little bit closer to the lower end. But he's still looking at, he's thinking a close to 150 million opening weekend. And we had Deadline, or I don't remember who it was, maybe last week or week before, we're saying something, it might be 90 to 120 million. And people were thinking that, oh, the box office is collapsing or the projections were collapsing. That's like, well, no, Deadline and them never, that was the first data they had put out, right? This is Sean Robbins' data. So we keep using this because he puts these things out several weeks in advance. So we can try to track several weeks in advance with relatively publicly available data. I say relatively. I think he does eventually put this out on the free side, but I pay because I've been reading his stuff. I've been using his stuff on this show for years. I gladly, well, you guys are paying for it with Super Chats. Thank you for supporting it, but I gladly pay Sean Robbins, I think it's like $100 a year to subscribe to his Substack, his newsletter, where he puts all of this data out that he compiles, which I think he's always done a good job because he was on Box Office Pro years.
And I'm glad you brought this up because you have been bringing up the one thing I've been and a lot of Jurassic Park fans have been taking this the wrong way. And the problem is that the Snyder fans have kind of hijacked this whole thing and they're trying to make it look like Jurassic World is going to beat Superman. It's like, look, Jurassic World is doing amazing, especially considering this is the 4th film in a 7-film franchise in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? That being said, all in all, you pointed out there was a steady $300 million drop after the last Fallen Kingdom movie. Other than the huge drop. Yeah. You had a huge drop between Fallen Kingdom and the original Jurassic World. But once that happened, they've steadily just gone down $300 million. So if they can keep these movies within a reasonable budget, they can keep making them for the next 5-10 years. No problem.
Yeah.
That being said, you pointed out the obvious. Superman is set up to do what Jurassic World did in 5 days in only 3 days.
Correct.
So according to,
no, according to Sean Robbins right now, that's what it is. And you're right. Yeah, we covered that earlier in the show. Jurassic World 2015, 1.6.
And you're one of the few people saying it. That's why I'm giving you credit. Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, 1.6 some odd billion. And then Fallen Kingdom was 1.3 billion. So you dropped.
Because actually, this is on par with the 3rd Jurassic Park film. Somebody actually did the math in the chat.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I said, I'm guaranteeing you right now, the biggest opening for a Jurassic Park movie with inflation was Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World, the original one from back in 97, because that was a $70-some million opening weekend in 1997. Right? So you add the inflation to that. That's huge.
Yeah,
now,
that was just
come
domestic.
back around.
Yeah.
And maybe Jurassic World might be right on par with it or beat it, maybe. But that being said, we're talking about modern things. And you brought up the ticket sales. That's a big point, too, because, now compared to, back then, like Jurassic Park, you guys got to remember the amount of people that went to see that movie. That was Star Wars level.
Yeah.
Right? Like, people forget that. Like, it was one of the biggest movies of all time. It still is.
Yeah. It was in theaters for like 9 months. I mean, it didn't leave theaters. It was there for 9 months.
And then we were talking about the VOD thing. Well, I don't know if it's going to do 36 days for sure or not, but that's been Universal's norm. Their average is now 36 days for every movie. And Dominion, they did in 53 days.
Okay, I was going to say, I'm thinking that when they have like their big summer blockbusters,
they do make exceptions, but yeah.
Yeah, because like Minions, Rise of Gru, and Despicable Me 4, I don't think they went 36 days. And those were big. Those were like billion-dollar movies in the last couple of 2 or 3
Are you sure on that?
I didn't think they went that fast. I'm pretty sure.
Because one of those Minion movies was day and date release. I know that. Because that's what started the whole thing, remember? Because theaters... Oh, no, that's the Troll movie I was thinking of.
Trolls. No. Minions.
That's what I was thinking. I'm sorry.
Minions, they always held because look, they know they put Minions in
You're
theaters.
right. I was misconstruing it with the Troll movie. You're right.
Yeah, Trolls, you're right. They did that with Trolls, and they did that with a couple of others. And they may be doing shortened windowing for theaters for some...
Nosferatu only did 20...
Yeah, Christmas, Dracula.
Yeah, and then this is the other reason why I think they might do this with this, because Twisters was last summer. It was doing well in theaters, and Universal had the home video distribution in the SVOD.
I remember.
So they pulled it in 36 days.
Yeah, which I didn't. I thought that was stupid.
But that was because Warner had the theatrical distribution. So
look, and that's why I think this. I don't think they're going to yank this. And I mean, unless the box office drop off is so sharp, which we talked about earlier in the show, it very well could be, because again, Jurassic World is kind of getting squeezed here because look, Jurassic World opened up this past weekend. It had zero access to IMAX because they were guaranteed for F1 for 2 weeks because it was an IMAX ambassador. Now, the minute the IMAX exclusivity releases from F1, Superman's coming out, and it's all broadcasting IMAX. So you're going to have a Jurassic World movie that is not going to probably see any IMAX screens. It might get some play, like shared, might get a screening. I don't know how they work it out. But
as far as I know, it has Superman, no PLF stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it's got 1 weekend of totality in PLFs because I mean, that's what we were talking about that last week. And it's like, okay, F1 gets to keep all the IMAX branded screens at places like AMC, but all the other non-IMAX branded PLFs is what Jurassic was getting. Now no IMAX for Jurassic in weekend 2, and it's going to be sharing PLFs with Superman. So I just, it's like, it'll still, like, we're not going to see a radical change in the screen count for Jurassic World, but the number of PLF screenings that are going to be available for it now are going to be a lot less, or a lot fewer, because it's going to have to share some with Superman. I think this, it's wild. So Jurassic Park, honestly, or Jurassic World, as crazy as it is the movie that's wind up being squeezed this summer because of that. Because I know that's what I was saying in the beginning of the show. If Jurassic World had access to IMAX screens, those 500 IMAX screens at AMC theaters around the country, you probably could have added another, no joke, domestically, you might have been able to add another 10 to 15 million to that tally. We'd be talking maybe 160 million plus.
You'd have to assume all those people that went to see F1 would go see Jurassic World instead, but yes, yeah, I get what you're saying.
But the point is, there's a lot of people that want to see Jurassic Park and be like me. It's like, oh, I'd go see it on IMAX because it's a big dinosaur movie with big sound effects. Yeah, I'll pay the extra $3 over the PLF already. I'm already paying $3 extra for, and go see it in IMAX. But it's not there. So that's what I'm saying is that you could have maybe had another $10 million had they had IMAX on there. And one of the reasons that I think F1 is doing spectacularly well is because it's got all the IMAX, and it's already getting that extra juice on top of everything. Because I mean, the average tickets for F1 probably are on the higher end because it's very heavily laden with IMAX for a couple of weeks, but totally worth it. Again, I'm going to go see the thing again. It's amazing. My point is, like with Jurassic World, going back to that, because of what's about to happen, if Sean Robbins is correct in this, I mean, even on the low end, if Superman pulls $130 million on a 3-day, $120 million on a 3-day, and it's got IMAX screens and PLFs, and Jurassic Park is going to get squeezed. Now, I'm not going to tell you that it's going to collapse and make no money in the second weekend, because there's people out there that think everything I say, they take
No, but I think even Pros said in the chat earlier that this is going to be a very front-loaded film, and I agree. Superman
or Jurassic?
Jurassic. Superman is going to really be determined by if the movie is good.
Yes.
Because I'm looking at this, I see the Amazon shows are pretty much sold out.
Mm-hmm.
There's some places, I guess, that are doing special screenings on Mondays that I haven't
even looked for tickets yet. I need to.
Yeah, I got tickets for the Tuesday show, so I'm going to see it Tuesday night. We'll see. I think a lot of it's going to be predicated on what people say, but there's also a side of this where the general public that just isn't paying attention or talking about the same things we are.
Right.
That they're just noticing it's a new, bright, comic booky Superman movie like my dad. Right. Like he didn't show any interest in the Snyderverse, didn't show any real interest in Superman Returns even.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But this is the first time he's mentioned. And if my dad mentions it to me, that means it's kind of permeated into the culture somewhere. Cause he rarely asks me or mentions things to me, like, because that means he's actually interested in it. And the closest he came to that recently was like Beetlejuice. And that's because he said something about it. And I said, yeah, I don't think you'll like it. And I explained to him why. And he's like, yeah, you're probably right. But this was the first time, like last week, he had said something to me about Superman, and I was kind of surprised. So we'll see. I mean, I know we've got this recent interview that came out with him that's causing a big stir with James Gunn and the stuff that he said, but I don't know overall how much effect it will have on the opening weekend box office. This is going to be the movie to beat this weekend. And I mean, also it will matter how the Monday when all the social media reactions drop.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.